Well, it's Thursday night, so thank you for joining Tarnation TV live on YouTube. Of course, on the Tarnation TV channel as well. The simulcast is what we do on Thursdays. Also being aired live on the Flatout Racing Network YouTube channel. So hello to everybody involved, anybody who's watching this thing. Thank you very much for watching and doing what you do so that we can do what we do. My name is Blaine Donlin. This is race number 3 of season number 67 here at the Tally Challenge, Rolling Thunder Gaming. And as always, I am joined with the dream team, Michael Norman and Seth Kroll from FRN.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this early on in the season, you'd think that you'd be starved for storylines, but no, that's not been the case. So far, 2 events, and there is a lot to talk about, not even yet to the halfway point of the regular season. The former champions rising to the top here in the opening stages of season 67. Brian Schilling winning the opener, Grant Wesley most recently winning last week. Michael, it's definitely looking like those that have already been to the top of the mountain, they are looking for the early security into the playoffs here in the opening stages of the brand new season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the racing out there is just really ruthless. You know, having been out there last week, it's going to be interesting to see what these cars can do, these guys can do to get themselves positioned to be up there to get that security.
It's interesting you mentioned you were behind the wheel last week with these drivers, and did you get maybe a different sense of urgency being in the field with these drivers than what we can maybe sense up here in the broadcast booth?
I mean, it's gonna, you know, the urgency it's different. You know, something I noticed, and I think you pointed this out to me before, or pointed this out in a previous race that we were in. You know, these drivers can race 3 wide, but we noticed recently that the very upper lane isn't as dominant as it used to be. So, you know, you can sense the urgency out there, but at the same time, with one technically less groove out there, it should make things a little bit more difficult to get up to the front and back.
Again, as well, 3rd week in a row that they had to have go or go home qualifying. More than 40 drivers showing up looking to race. Of course, we mentioned at the beginning of the season that top 30 in points, so important from last season to lock yourself into the first, I believe it's the first 3 races of this season. And then after tonight, it'll be drivers that are in the top 30 in points locked in going forward. So that battle will continue here during the course of tonight and into the following weeks. But one thing that's going to be interesting here this evening as well is to see where drivers are going to be in terms of their priorities, because the first race of the season, everyone's got the must-win mentality. If you win, great, you're locked into the playoffs. If you don't win, if you end up wrecked, well, you've got the remaining 8 regular season races to build back those points and have another shot at the victory. Last week sounded like a lot of drivers kind of treated it the same way as the first week, still kind of going in with a must-win mentality. But now we're starting to get into the point where we've figured out where we stand. Have we had a good start to the season? Has it been kind of mediocre, or have we found ourselves tanking and not having a good positioning in the point standings? Now that we've got the footing and we can either begin the climb or try to maintain, do we see what we normally end up seeing more towards the playoffs, where the emphasis ends up being a lot more on pit road than actually what takes place on the racetrack itself?
Repeat that again, sir. I didn't hear. I had a interruption there.
It sounded like you had a malfunction of some kind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with where we're at in the season here now, with 2 races under our belt, do we end up seeing more of the trend that we have when we get closer towards and during the playoffs, where the emphasis is going to be more on execution on pit road than it is on what we see on the racetrack itself?
Oh, don't bring up pit road to me. You know what happened last week.
I joked with Michael earlier tonight. I said Mark Pagley in that 28 car will feel a lot safer on the racetrack and on pit road tonight, knowing that Michael's not in the field.
Shut up! No, but that was just an unforeseen circumstance. It was an accident. You know, when I practiced hot pitting during practice, I realized how I didn't have to get on the brakes as hard. So that's what I did, except I didn't practice with somebody in front of me. So didn't quite work out as well. But yeah, this urgency is on pit road, because that's where you're going to make up your ground, especially during green flag pit stops. Like, you know, if I would love to see if you wouldn't mind showing me the starting order, because whoever has that first pit box is going to be the worst. Is going to have the worst luck, which is John Godfrey for green flag pit stops.
And Godfrey, he's going to be starting from that pole position. And, you see your point standings up on your screen right now. It's interesting, too. We talk about that sense of urgency. There's that sense of urgency if you're sitting down there 15th through 20th, 25th in the standings, because tonight, 2 races in, the points are still super close. There's still the opportunity tonight with a solid top 5 or a solid top 10 to leapfrog yourself up through the point standings. So it'll be interesting to see some of those drivers down around the midway portion of the standings, if they can have a step out race here tonight, find themselves up in the top 12 in the point standings, which are the slots that will lock in, points paying slots that will lock in to the playoffs. So we'll keep track of that during the course of the night. Of course, a number of drivers just outside of the points lead that have had good starts to the season, like RJ Cabana's been really consistent, back-to-back top 10s, sits 3rd in the point standings. Rodney Sullins, who got off to a hot start in the playoffs last season. Even Jeremy Jeffries, the champion 2 seasons ago, came into last season's defending champion, but didn't advance into the postseason. He's 9th in the point standings. So keep an eye on a number of those drivers during the course of tonight's race. They try to keep a good season going. Command to fire the engines has been given. They are 40 strong rolling out behind the pace car, and they will look like this with John Godfrey, Mark Paglia on the front row. Robert Spring and Richard Martin will be in row 2. Row 3 finds Pat McCarskey and Ron Hagelin. Row 4 with Glenn Harris and Terry Bombard, and then Cy Jones, Bobby Farrell. They'll complete your top 10. Row 6 will be Bernie Mobbs with Randy Waugh. I guess I'll say it, Luigi. Row 7 will be Mike Mangialardi and Tim Nofsker. Row 8, Jason Scheck and Greg Lovell. Row 9, Jeffrey Elliott, Bob Seminarin. Your top 20 completed with Jeff Gravello and Denny Carroll. 21st position finds the season opener winner, Brian Schilling. He's alongside of Graham McDonald back there in row 11. Row 12, Brian Lovell and Ken Roberts. Row 13 with Milt Surratt and last week's winner, Grant Wesley. Chuck McClure,
you mean we're not going to get his Who You Got Surratt?
We're not going to get the Who You Got Surratt prediction, unfortunately. Chuck McClure, who comes in the defending champion, he's in row 14 alongside of Greg Palmer. Tim Anderson and Jeremy Jeffries will complete your top 30. Donnie Garrett's back in row 16 with David Little. Row 17, Doug Hewlick and Robert Breedlove. Lizzie Sandoval and Rodney Sullins deep in the field. They'll make up row 18. Row 19, Josh Metallic and Kelly Causey. And your final row tonight will be Billy Elliser and Cody Lamas. I believe, and I apologize if I missed anybody, I believe 2 drivers failed to qualify for tonight's race. They were Chris Elliott and Steve Elliser.
Yeah, they had a full house. They had to do the whole knockout and the lottery and all that good stuff. Too many people showing up on a Thursday night to this deal.
Trust me, I know, and it wasn't that easy to qualify my way in last week either. I almost didn't make it.
Imagine that, this far into the lifespan of the sim, and we're still getting too many people showing up on a middle of a week.
Yeah, 3 straight races too. It'll be interesting to see if that continues on here as we draw closer to the playoffs. A lot of times we'll end up seeing leagues when we get towards the playoffs. If they know they're not going to have a shot at the championship, they'll maybe race somewhere else. Not with this league. They continually bring in the 35 to 40 plus every single Thursday night. And now 66 laps await these drivers here this evening. Will we have a third driver join Schilling and Wesley as a winner in season 67?
Immediately up to the middle lane.
Normally see drivers move from that inside the middle line off of turn 2. Godfrey was able to get clear with a good shove from Robert Spring before they even got to the second corner. And there you see that surge down the back straightaway on that middle lane. Robert Spring, Pat McCarskey, Glenn Harris going to try and make something happen down low.
Fortunately, you do not have the paint schemes for Martin and Hagelin. They seem to be missing. So those you can see there on the outside line, those two cars look exactly the same just because those are what the generic car files look like.
Imar, former champion of the series. Ron Hagelin right there behind him. And them, fifth car on that outside line. As you see that trouble that a lot of drivers will have on that inside line. The third car in line, that Krispy Kreme Chevrolet, Glenn Harris, pushing up off the corner almost into the door of, I believe that was Ron Hagelin he was side by side with at the time. And here comes a third lane being led by that 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
I beat you to it tonight.
I know.
You were sleeping on the job.
No, it happens sometimes.
Tim Knopfsker up there
There's
with
the third,
Randy.
There's the third lane attempting to come, but like we said, Seth.
That was close right there. Hagelin had a run and almost was to the left rear quarter panel of Paglia. They were shading 4 wide across the start-finish line, but Hagelin backed out, keeping it 3x3.
As if 3x3 is even ever better.
With these guys, no sweat.
Well, I mean, what?
Oh, no.
There it is.
I believe that was Pat McCarsky.
Oh, wow.
That went
Wesley's
up into the
car.
outside wall. Oh, my goodness. We've got cars tumbling over each other. Greg Palmer caught a lot of air. So did McCarsky, Donnie Garrett, Jeffrey Elliott, Crivello. Last week's winner, Grant Wesley, is involved.
Racing back. 7-Eleven will keep it. Something happened in the 97 where, I don't know, we're going to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain. I only caught the tail end of it on my camera view. It could have potentially been bumper grab or maybe checkup. We've seen a ton of that going into turn 3 here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I was actually locked on to, wait, what did I say?
Yeah, it was the 197 of Pat McCarsky. He bumper grabbed. He tried to tuck down in line behind Ron Hagelin on the inside and was not clear. And that sent him straight up into Grant Wesley, and it was on from there. Greg Palmer barrel rolling, and then actually grabbed Jeffrey Elliott's number 56 and almost flung him a few hundred feet.
Yeah, we saw Elliott flying through the air there. Let's see it again here in the replay.
Just nowhere to go in that type of a situation. More drivers involved in that, including Denny Carroll, Brian Schilling, I believe Brian Lovell, Graham McDonald all got pieces of it.
Yeah.
Ulysses Sandoval got spun around. Chuck McClure got spun around. It might be easier to compile a list of the drivers who weren't involved than those that weren't, because just about everyone behind the wreck got little bits and pieces.
Wesley's car got like permanently damaged very quickly. Yeah, the fling, it is funny to watch. It's like it almost looks like a discus or something, where you can see the 56 unfortunately just gets thrown.
Yeah, it gets flung.
The 22 grabs him
past the catch fence.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking for a driver that did a masterful job of getting through that wreck, look no further than the new livery on the 931 of Robert Breedlove, because there were about 2 or 3 different times he should have been involved in that wreck. He's going to get a little contact with Ulysses Sandoval, but the fact that that car never went around and was able to snake his way through all the carnage, great piece of driving. And you may not see it with the onboard, but listen carefully, you'll hear Jeffrey Elliott land on the right side of Robert Breedlove's car.
Oh, okay. This might be, let's go far chase here. On board here with Breedlove in the 931.
And we've already got at least a trio of drivers that's night's going to come to a very early end.
It always sucks to be taken out within the first 10 laps of a race.
Yeah, Denny Carroll, Pat McCarsky, Jeffrey Elliott so far have retired from the event. And at your point, Michael, when you end up making a field that had to send drivers home and everything, and you don't even get 10 laps into the race and your night is over, it's obviously disappointing, but also can maybe be worrying if you're one of those drivers that's vying for a spot in the top 30 to have an automatic lock into next week's field.
At 56. I just checked that out. The Palmer, we'll just call that the Palmer toss, was, like you said, it landed directly beside the 931. That's crazy. I had to do it in slow-mo, but it looks pretty awesome.
Had a number of drivers that came down pit road the first lap of caution. Richard Martin staying out to lead a lap. Now he comes down pit road. There were about 7-8 drivers that stayed out, and most of them came down this second lap of caution, with the exception of Bob Seminara, Cy Jones, and I thought Jeff Crivello. Yes, Jeff Crivello, also one of those drivers. They're your top 3 right now. So they're going to go a little bit outside the box in terms of fuel strategy, which is interesting because this is eerily similar to what we had last week, where we ended up having that early caution in the first 10 laps of the race, and then we went green to the end. Everybody was on different fuel numbers, but nobody was able to make it at the close of that race. Everybody had to come down pit road, including Brian Schilling, who we thought was going to pull off another masterclass fuel save, but he said even he wasn't going to be able to stretch it far enough to get to the checkered flag. Could we be seeing a little deja vu here again? Was that maybe the only caution we're going to see here tonight?
Was there not a late race caution to kind of sync everybody back up? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. We had a wreck on the final lap coming back to the checkers, but from that first caution onward, we remained green. We had some incidents and a couple of near scares for cautions, but no, the flagman had very little to do last week.
Yeah, he still got paid though.
Oh, trust me, I know. I was part of that race.
Yeah, he's a salary paid guy, so if he's got to pull the flag out once or 10 times, we make sure he's taken care of. And what about that pit stop too? Was it Harris? It was Harris with the big drift and pit stop.
Yeah.
That was by far, we were talking about it before the broadcast started. I think in the 20 plus years of this, Sam, with the online race, and that's probably one of the greatest pit stops I've ever seen. Under green, 150 mile an hour drift, didn't hit anybody, got inside the commitment cone, hit the speed limit, didn't get a black flag, pitted and actually gained spots. That is
certainly
wild.
One of the coolest pit road entries I've ever seen.
We'll get a clip. We'll get a clip of that, and I'll have to put it in the intro. I'll have to recut the intro just for that alone.
Well, we're going back green here on lap 7.
Oh, big stack
on that top side, and we're wrecking already across the start-finish line. That was Jeff Crivello, second car on that outside line that didn't get going. I'm not certain if it was him not going or a lot of drivers behind anticipating, but you can see the results.
The slowest you'll ever see a Talladega accident happen.
Yeah, that's the slow one.
Yeah, that's the big one, but
I'd love to know what happened there. Was it just stack up? Because he also just didn't get going either. Was he in the wrong gear?
I'm not 100% sure. He definitely lost ground to Cy Jones when Cy accelerated. Robert Spring was behind him. It just looks like the 36 didn't get going, maybe mistimed when the green was going to fly. Could have been one of those cases where you think you know exactly when the flagman's going to wave the green, and it ends up being just a half second afterwards, and you're letting off the throttle. You can't get back into the throttle quickly enough, and those behind you that have timed it correctly are suddenly into your back bumper. Like Cy Jones may have been able to edge out Bob Seminara at the time that caution came out. It's frozen field at the time of yellow. Looks like Cy's actually going to be the race leader here under caution. And we'll have to see now for him and Bob Seminara, because they played the strategy of staying out. Everybody else came to pit road at least once under that recent yellow flag. Do they now cut their losses and come to pit lane? Both have led a lap. Both have gotten the bonus point. Do they give up the track position now to try to get closer on the same fuel window as everybody else? Or do they keep the track position here and save a little bit more under pacing?
We always want to try to save.
I might take the gamble and stay out. It looks like these guys are getting ready to go in, though. Good thing about that
No
accident,
need for lucky dogs.
it involved a lot of cars, but with such slow speeds, no catastrophic failures, hopefully.
We don't have any need for lucky dogs here. There's no lap down cars, only the 3 drivers out of the race.
We can't forget to thank our anonymous sponsors. Nobody knows who they are. But that is the graphic I was supplied with in memory of all the fallen drivers here at Rolling Thunder. And of course, military veterans. Whoever you may be. That's kind of neat, because, I mean, anybody who sponsors anything, you always want... The first thing I asked was, who is it? I'll make sure to put the logo on the screen, put the name on the screen. Nope. They wouldn't tell me who it was, so...
Pretty cool, though. Still feeling the importance to showcase these drivers every Thursday night. They put on a heck of a show every single time. And I say it all the time. The reason why you want to tune in every week is because no 2 races are ever the same.
No.
So we ended up having the caution come out right after the green flag. So we never got a chance to really get an idea of those involved in that first wreck. Who's up to speed, who may be dealing with just a little bit of aero damage, who's going to be off the pace trying to salvage what they can. The driver currently up in 3rd place, Grant Wesley, was front and center when that wreck happened over in turn 3, got squeezed up into the wall by Pat McCarskey. Looks like they've done a nice job of repairing that machine. Right side looks like they've been able to push it out. I do notice, and it may just be visual on my end, but it almost looks like the back of the roof
Who is this?
maybe pushed in. Grant Wesley, the 88.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah,
It
because
looks
he
like
got
rear
really...
window maybe pushed in the center. And if that's the case, then he's definitely going to have some aero damage in this race. Looks like he's elected track position here with a number of drivers coming down pit lane. We'll have to see if that car is going to be fully up to speed, going to need drafting help to stay up here in the lead pack, or if he's just trying to maybe force drivers to keep him up here and see what he's got, because that looks like that could be some pretty worrying damage on his Dodge.
It looked demolished after that wreck, and it looks mint right now.
Gentlemen, I just want to let you know I am going to be swapping out with Kyle. I am having, I don't want to say a medical issue, but Seth knows what's been bothering me lately, and it's flaring up again.
Roger that, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm bringing in him. Appreciate it, and I'm just going to go try to see if I can't fix this.
Okay. So, Kyle gets the hot tag.
Yes.
Working our second caution here of the evening. Like Randy was gonna be leading us back in here. So all 3 of us have said it tonight. We've got the trifecta now. I said it, Michael said, and you've said it. Blaine, it's your turn.
Yeah. I was going to say, when Michael says he's having another issue, is he dumping more juice into his computer like he did last week?
Oh, that wasn't juice last week. That was milk.
Milk,
Which is even worse, I think.
It's like, what?
Celebrating an Indy 500 win a little too soon.
Yeah. I'm surprised how good that 88 looks, because that initial wreck, he had damage on all 6 sides of that car, it looked like.
Yeah, and he had the 197 of Pat McCarskey pushed right up into his machine. So you would think that there would have been some engine damage of some kind, but he may have dodged a major bullet. We're going to have to see. It's a wait and see for a lot of these guys here, because there's a number of drivers still out here running that I know took some pretty significant hits in that wreck, and I don't know if they may have been able to get away with just a tiny bit of aero damage and still be able to remain competitive, or are they off the pace for the remainder of this one? Hopefully we're going to get a couple of green flag laps here so they can diagnose.
I forgot to put up the incident report for race number 2, lap number 20. Michael Norman gets into Paglia while pitting under green. The 30 did not serve the penalty, so he is docked a lap and is the DNQ for the next race. But he's a DNS, really, because
yeah,
he was in here
commenting. He didn't qualify tonight.
Yeah, it's like he wasn't allowed to, but...
He was a start and park in the broadcast tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, due to that penalty, we kicked him out of the broadcast booth. Hopefully he's doing okay.
Bit of a slow restart there for the 74 of Robert Spring. A couple of drivers are able to jump up in front of him through 1 and 2, Bob Seminara and Jeremy Jeffries. It looks like everybody migrated their way out of the second corner down the back straightaway perfectly fine. Watch that 88 on the inside line. See if he's going to be able to at least maintain his position, or will he potentially start dropping his respective lane further back. He's got John Godfrey, Doug Hulick down there for drafting help. Well, we mentioned about the 3 drivers out of the race. One of them, Denny Carroll, who we saw last season get his first win in this series. Of course, made the playoffs as well. Was fighting with Donnie Garrett for the bracket championship. Had a good start to the season here in the first 2 races. Found himself 6th in the standings. But a 38th place finish here tonight is certainly going to drop him quite a bit heading into next week, the halfway point of the regular season. So he will definitely be hoping for a better finish next week, and with the points as close as they are, it'll be interesting to see just how far down the standings he'll fall. I think mathematically he will certainly fall out of the top 12, which is the target number that everybody wants to meet or be above by the time the checkered flag waves at the conclusion of race 8, because that means you get into the playoffs on points.
I believe he was in the Final 4 last season, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Final 5, but yes.
Well, 5, yes. Final round.
Like Tim Nofsker's jumped down now in front of Grant Wesley.
Once again, we see the 088 and the 88 together. It's like those, like I've said, those numbers are just attractive to each other, it seems like.
And I think this is by design. I think that Grant, we were seeing the inside line start falling back. I think Grant, with the damage, maybe doesn't have a car that can lead a line, but he has a car that can push. So Nofsker, whose car I believe is at 100%, jumps down in front of him, and we'll see now with a clean car out in front if maybe that inside line can make some headway. Oh, no, they'll go into Bobby Farrell instead off of turn 2. Caution out for the 3rd time tonight.
I think Farrell was able to save it, or at least he didn't hit anything. 92 looks pretty clean.
Yep, did not make contact with the inside wall. Everybody else did a really good job of fanning out to avoid him. There is some left side damage on the 711 of John Godfrey. I don't know if that was from a previous incident and they didn't repair the damage, or if that was from something that happened right here. Oh, he pounded the inside wall trying to avoid the 92.
And the air almost got under that 92. It was lifting, but
it did.
It came back
down.
Thought
it was going up and over.
Can't really tell if Nofsker kind of pushed up into Farrell or if Farrell came down.
Might have been a combination of both. We know that inside line does push up.
Yeah, I think he pushed up a little bit there. And
they were making good headway on that inside line. I think Nofsker trying to keep that momentum going, kept the foot in the throttle, and as the car was migrating up, just up a little too high, made the contact there with Farrell. They were battling at the time, roughly around the 11th position. So Farrell's going to lose a lot of track position as a result of the spin. If Nofsker ends up taking the blame for the wreck, he'll be starting tail end of the field. So there's a lot of track position lost for him as well. And pit road's been a very busy place here in the first 15 laps of this race. Just about everybody has visited their crews at least twice. Some have visited upwards of 4 or 5 different times. Grant Wesley's going to elect to stay out here. That'll be a bonus point for a lap led, and I don't know if we should read into this that he doesn't feel he has a car capable of winning, so he's trying to salvage every point he can when the opportunity offers itself, or have we maybe, with this caution, gotten ourselves into a window where some drivers can maybe make it the rest of the way on one less pit stop than other drivers if we went green to the end?
There's a little bit of a brouhaha on pit road there. I'm just going to back that up, take a look at it. Somebody went around back there.
As I take a scan here of current running order and drivers in the point standings, mentioned about RJ Cabana coming into tonight. One of 3 drivers that has scored a top 10 in the first 2 races, subsequently 3rd in points. He's not in the field. And so he's going to free fall through the point standings at the conclusion of this one.
It was Donnie Garrett. Made his pit, sorry to cut you off there, made his pit stop, and then I saw a car, and it was the 77 exiting the pits, trying to make his way to the outside there, and slight taps at him around in the grass.
I just doubled and triple checked as well the running order. Another notable name that's not in the field here tonight, multi-time champion Joe DeSpirito, the 24 car, is not out here this evening. 5th in the points coming into tonight. So there's a lot of drivers that came into this race up inside the top 10 in points that more than likely going into next week, they will not find themselves in a similar position.
I remember a couple of seasons ago, he wasn't able to make every single race. I think he told us about that one night after he either won or finished in the top 3 or something. So I'm guessing work related, if I had to guess.
Remember that. And if I recall correctly, I believe he ended up running a majority of the playoff races. He wasn't a part of the hunt for the championship, but I think he won 2 races during the playoffs.
Yes. But on quite during that time.
I always like seeing the movement on the standings there. I can just focused on Donnie Garrett there in the 77. After last week's 6th place finish, Garrett was able to gain 14 spots on the overall point standings and is currently in lucky 13th. Just with that, the right amount of a few drivers maybe not making it to the race, and then he got in there and had a really good finish. And you jump 14 spots on the standings. It currently sits in 13th, so consistency.
Yep, that's what
when
we
you
talk
talk about consistency with Schilling, 2 top 5s.
Yeah, he had that runner-up finish last week, currently sporting a 1.05 average finish. And I asked him last week, I was like, hey, is it too early to be calling maybe for the Brian Schilling streak? Because there was a point during a season, it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, he ended up scoring a top 10 in every single regular season race. He says, man, I hope we're not doing that again because I wasn't in the hunt for the title that season. So we'll see if we end up spotting that number 4 Kodak car making his way up here to the front in the closing stages. One driver we will not has just retired out of the race, that being Greg Palmer. So I mentioned about a number of drivers that sustained very extensive damage in that first wreck and needed a couple of laps to assess the damage, see if they were going to be able to remain up to speed. Looks like Greg Palmer not going to be able to. Of course, had that, I guess we'll call it a German suplex of Jeffrey Elliott, and that car too bad damage to continue, and he will get credited for 37th here tonight.
Looks like the 81 ended up winning the race off pit road. I get the green flag Bob Seminara didn't get the greatest of restarts right there on the inside line.
74 of Robert Spring, I think he's missing a gear. I think he's missing second gear, because that's the second straight restart. He's been really slow off the jump.
I've seen stuff like that when guys use an automatic clutch, but nobody out here is using an automatic clutch. There must be a mechanical issue.
Automatic transmission will kill you on a super speedway on restarts.
Yeah, automatic transmission. Yeah, clutch. I use an automatic clutch, but yeah, the automatic transmission is brutal out here.
That's what I was using when I first started racing, and quickly learned how to shift through the gears. And my results were a lot better afterward.
Well, because it's akin to that. Like if he's missing a gear, so he's got to go like 1, 3, 4. It's the automatic transmission's the same type of lag. It's just like, what is going on? It's weird how it just doesn't work.
I can tell you, too, with the setup that these guys run, if you're up in those first 2, 3, maybe first 4 rows, it's a first gear restart because you want to get that launch. A little further back, you can maybe risk second gear because it's going to be enough stack up that really don't need to launch forward. But when you end up having the automatic transmission with the pacing speed at 70 miles per hour, more than likely your automatic transmission is going to have you in second gear. And if you're up here at the front, boy, you're going to have a super slow restart.
Jason Scheck leading this thing. That's a hot-looking rig.
Yes, it is. That's a Rusty Wallace throwback. I think it was Miller's 25th anniversary. Isn't that what the silver anniversary is? 25th.
Yes.
Ran that back a number of races back in 1996. Always one of my favorite Rusty Wallace paint schemes, and it looks good on this car.
I was going to ask the year, but you beat me to it. I knew you knew it. See, geez, that car looks familiar. Well, now I know why.
Got a couple more drivers that look like they are wearing the wounds of war, the battle scars from the early going of this race. Kelly Causey a long ways back from this pack. Same for Graham McDonald. They are in salvage mode now. They're hoping that this race maybe continues to have a couple more big wrecks, more drivers sustaining damage or finishing out of the race to be able to at least improve where they're currently running in the finishing results. Kelly Causey coming into tonight 10th in the standings. And Graham McDonald comes into this race, I believe 44th in points. Nice to see Jason Scheck out here leading this race. I mean, we've ended up having just about every single season that one driver that you maybe don't expect win their way into the playoffs. Last season, you had Denny Carroll get his first win of the series. We've seen drivers like Keith Hughes, Ulysses Sandoval get first wins and lock themselves into their first playoff appearances. Jason Scheck, he's not a rookie by any stretch. He's a wily veteran, but to my knowledge, we've not seen him go to victory lane since these races were broadcasted, so this would be a very popular win if he were able to pull it off, and a win would mean an automatic spot into the playoffs, provided you stay in the top 20 in the standings by the end of the regular season.
That just goes to show you how competitive this series is. I mean, there's a lot of drivers who have won a good number of races who have not won in quite a while. Like you said, not sure about the 81, but some guys out here, up here, one of them up here toward the front, I know hasn't won in a couple of seasons, that being Bob Seminara. Just quite surprising, but in third place right now, so we'll see what happens with him.
Been close a number of times the last couple of seasons, has Bob. A couple of times almost won on fuel strategy, a couple of times got passed on the final lap. But it's interesting you brought up the point there about how competitive this series is. We talked to drivers in victory lane, whether it's a Brian Schilling or a Chuck McClure or a Grant Wesley or a Jeremy Jeffries, and asked them how important it is to win your way into the playoffs, and they say it's paramount. Reason why? The competitiveness of the series. I mean, it's not a given that you're going to be the one going to victory lane, because there's 39 other drivers out there just as capable as you of being the first one to that start finish line. So when you're able to pull it off and get that golden ticket into the postseason, it takes a huge weight off of drivers' shoulders.
Yeah, not to mention the amount of drivers that might participate in a single season. Like, I think we're up to 50 plus already. This is only race 3.
Wow.
I think there's, how many were on that list? I'm not going to cover up the broadcast with the standings, but the point standings
51.
will show it was 51. Yeah, I thought there was 50 something. So, and that's just after 2 races. Like those stats that were rolling on the screen before, that's only 2 races. 50 people.
Ooh, we're getting racy now.
They saw that inside line coming right there. Was that the 880 jumped in front of the 43. Jeffries did, and Jeffries going to go to the lead, and now Scheck is stuck in the middle right there with no help.
Yeah.
First it was Bernie Mobbs, then Robert Spring, now Jason Scheck, all stuck in the sucker hole. As the lines are all the way on the bottom and all the way on the top, Hewlick leading that was third lane, maybe about to become middle lane with help from Metallic and Mark Paglia.
That's crazy, man. That those 2 lines going around these guys looks just, it's almost a work of art. All
It's
these
so
guys
weird
get
too,
out
because
here.
under normal circumstances, that middle line is usually considered the dominant lane. When you have friends, when you're by yourself, nope.
Yep, not going to happen when there's 40 guys on track. Oh, what happened there?
Someone's on the apron.
The 10? No, who was that? It looked like it. Maybe it was the 1.
It's a red. Oh,
Terry Bombard in the 10.
Oh, it is.
I think he may have blown up. Awfully slow coming down pit road here.
Yeah, it's quiet.
No sound out of that 10 car. He's blown up. And I almost wonder if, I don't exactly remember if he was involved in that wreck. We've got a caution, by the way. It looks like maybe a debris caution. Terry tried his best to get it down off the racing surface, but it's going to throw a debris yellow for that expired engine. But
wow,
could have been a case of Terry maybe being involved in one of those earlier wrecks, and car just starts overheating with that damage, and the engine finally let go.
He held on to that beautifully. It's too bad the yellow came out. He did such a good job of that.
If he asked Terry why the engine let go, he'd say because Jeff Cravella was in the race. I don't know what it is. I guess he says whenever Jeff starts, he gets bad luck. When Jeff doesn't start, he gets good luck. So, I guess he's blaming the 36 tonight. Terry is out of the race. He'll get credited with 36th. One of 5 drivers behind the wall. Greg Palmer, Denny Carroll, Pat McCarskey, Jeffrey Elliott amongst the others. Remaining 35 drivers. They were all on the lead lap when that, including Graham McDonald and Kelly Causey, who had majorly lost the draft. And everybody is on pit road. This caution coming out just a little before halfway. And if my math is correct, we are super close to maybe being able to make it on one more pit stop.
Look, you stayed out to lead a lap.
You think he'll use this as an excuse of him running up front?
I mean, look at the final finishing results. You have a bonus point by his name. I mean,
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
hard to argue with it.
Jeremy Jeffrey's going to win the battle off of pit road. So more than likely we'd see Cody come to pit lane this time by, after getting that bonus point for a lap lead, turning the lead over to Jeremy Jeffries, though I'm not 100% certain that Jeremy will end up staying out the entirety of this run either, because I think if everybody comes back down pit road this time, it tops off, I think everyone's good to make it on one more stop. Should be able to split the final 38 laps in half.
And that's if these guys are running those numbers. Although they could be listening to the broadcast now, they won't have to because I just heard you say it. And a lot of these guys do. They'll have the broadcast on the back and go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Seth.
And we now know why Joe DeSpirito is MIA.
Okay.
He's taking in the sights and sounds of Disney tonight.
Huh. There you go.
Enjoy yourself, Joe. Look forward to seeing you back on the track here next week.
We got David Chin in the Tarnation TV YouTube feed. Says, hey, guys. What's up, David? Why
I'm more of a Universal guy myself, but I can't blame anybody for going to any theme park.
Yeah,
you think Joe's wearing Mickey Mouse ears?
100%.
I know there's a bunch of people down there wearing them, so could be one of them. Who knows?
Like we got the lights out on the pace car here, the expedited cautions. We'll get back racing here with, looks like officially 37 laps to go. Jeremy Jeffries and a number of these others elected not to come down and top off, instead throwing in the clutch, saving fuel, which may also get them to the point that they need to be. So right now, when we go back green, if we do not see a caution for the remainder of this race, everybody's target lap is going to be lap 47. You can get to the completion of lap 47 before hitting pit road. Should be good to make it the rest of the way. But with it being so close and on that number, I almost wonder if you don't want to be the leader for this run. So we'll see what Jeremy Jeffries does here when we come back through the tri-oval.
You thinking he might want to tuck in behind somebody?
Depends on how much he was able to save under these pacing laps. But honestly, yeah, I think I'd want to have somebody else leading.
I don't know how you save fuel when you're leading the field there. That's just
Other than under yellow.
Say if somebody could figure that out, I'd love to know.
Dial up Brian. Brian, how do I save fuel when I'm leading? He probably would tell you can't.
Why would you want to give up that secret?
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. Well, these cautions that we've had here tonight, 3 of them for crashes, 1 for the most recent mechanical failure for Terry Bombard, have shuffled the field up quite a bit. Number of drivers that started towards the rear of the field, now up here towards the front. Jeremy rolled off the grid from 30th, and now he'll be leading us back to green. Richard Martin to his outside, starting the outside of row 2, and has been able to maintain the track position during the course of the night. Has green flag back in the air.
Not sure what the paint scheme on the 43 car is. It's weird to see a 43 car in this series and it not be a Richard Petty car of some sort.
By no DMAR, it is a Richard Petty throwback.
It is,
of some kind.
The last couple of weeks, we haven't had his car file for some reason. I don't know where it's hiding, but it's not in the. It's not in the drive. There's 105 car files in the drive, and I guess that's not one of them.
Oh, that explains it.
And I'm running generics on mine that were drawn by Frank Divins himself. He hooked me up with a bunch of cool generics for a couple different mods.
Well, we're going to take a turn out in front here. Jeremy Jeffries, when he jumped up to that inside line was able to find a bit of a surge, level to the point. Seminara now into second. Almost wondering if maybe Jeremy backed up a little bit to allow those drivers by, to tuck in line, not be that lead car. Woo!
Oh, wow.
Seminara not going to wait.
Nope. Seminara, too. We, on Tarnation TV anyway, haven't played it in a while, but Shadows on Fire, I believe it's his nephew, has a band. And we would use his music.
That'd be Q Wainwright, I believe.
Sorry?
Is that Q Wainwright you're talking about?
Quentin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it's great when you got people who know people who have music and it's local stuff, and that way you try playing AC/DC on a broadcast, you probably get away with it, but you might get a copyright flag somewhere down the road. But if you know somebody who does music stuff, just ask them. Most of the time they'll let you use it anyway. It's free advertising for them, and you're not going to get hit with a copyright strike. Support your local music.
I agree.
Tons of great stuff. Spotify, Bandcamp. I've reached out to a couple random people, and they're like, yeah, man, that'd be great.
Ronnie Sullins taking a peek back here. Fifth position going for fourth. Oscar going to jump up there with him. Had Al Sullins in our chat earlier on, and saw Ronnie involved in one of the earlier wrecks, but good recovery here for the Black Rifle Coffee Chevrolet. Is now Mark Pagley going to jump up there in front of him as well.
Oh,
keep an eye on that third line being led by that 931 of Robert Breedlove. They're making some good headway down the backstretch.
They just bullied the number one right out of the way on that one. But the one was doing a great job of pushing the 712. And then Paglia comes in and just moved him out of the way.
Say Rodney Sullins doesn't appear to be damaged at all. If he's able to, currently running in the third position right now, keeping up in the draft easily there.
Close call off of turn 4. Tim Anderson in that blue Fast Pro Shops Tracker Boats Chevrolet had little contact with Glenn Harris.
So Pagulus making a move for the lead here.
He's made a couple real good moves the last couple laps.
What, you think we were on?
Oh,
to the
boy, here we go, and there goes.
Metallic and Anderson's up and over.
Well, the commentator's curse strikes again. Brian Schilling caught up in it. Milt Surratt. Bobby Farrell.
Like Brian Lovell also getting a piece of it. That one started up in the third lane. I don't know if maybe chain bumping going wrong. Metallic in that Ryan Newman throwback was the first car that I saw dart out of line.
Yeah, he got thrown. Oh, wow. You want to see an onboard from 33 of Tim Anderson. That's a hip check out of nowhere because you'd never even see that coming. Here's the view he would have been looking at.
I think a good portion of this was Chuck McClure was giving a good push to Josh Metallic, and more drivers saw that momentum and moved up to the third lane. First Breedlove, then Knopfsker, then Sullins, and that slowed down that outside line. So then by time Metallic got to the back bumper of Breedlove, they were just going too fast, and an uneven bump from McClure sends Metallic down into that right rear quarter panel of Tim Anderson. That 33 went up and over quick.
Yeah.
Well, the 33 and the 44 were just innocent bystanders right there, just on the inside line, minding their own business. Next thing they know, one is spinning toward the wall, the other one's upside down.
And I was going to say, just before that happened, with all the movement we saw, drivers making moves for positions and then moving up to block the respective lanes, it was looking like we were more at 5 to go than just crossing halfway, and you saw the end result.
It's like a similar thing happened back there to take with Schilling and Surratt. Just a push that, kind of just turned the car around.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of drivers were potentially checking up for the wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of started a chain reaction. I think it kind of started with Billy Elliser, went back to Mangialardi, Surratt, Cravello. And Surratt, unfortunately, was the one that got the boot from the 36, sent him down into Schilling, then took a pretty good shot from Graham McDonald in the passenger side doors. So there were about 4 or 5 drivers in the aftermath of the wreck that were all trying to avoid the wreck in front of them or beside them in some cases. And it's incidents like that. First caution we had, this most recent yellow, when you're Brian Schilling, Grant Wesley, and you are so thankful that you've already got that win this season.
Well, if everybody was on, a field strategy, I thought that last run would be one of those runs where they just get single file, try to make laps and try to make it to, lap 47, like you said. But, they were 3 wide all over the place, and that resulted in that wreck right there. So maybe they're not thinking about that right now.
Well, for those that pit, they still can't make it the rest of the way. They're still going to have to come to pit road at least one more time. But there's a handful of drivers here that elected to stay out, including Sullins, Metallic, McClure, Jason Scheck, Donnie Garrett, and Cody Lamas. So we'll see if they stay with the strategy of maybe trying to get to at lap 47 and not give up track position in the process. Do they stay out here, or do they come to pit road the second lap? They're coming in. I know we've had 5 cautions, so there's been plenty of opportunity to do this, but there have been a lot of drivers here in this race that have elected to stay out on respective laps of each caution period to get that bonus point. I think with the fact that we've ended up having now 3 straight weeks of go or go home qualifying, everybody is realizing, hey, every point, no matter how minuscule it may seem now, every point is probably going to matter by the time we get to the end of the regular season finale.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last season we didn't have, like you've said, we didn't have a Final 4. We had a Final 5 because of a tiebreaker. So, I mean, one bonus point, that may not sound like a whole lot, but man, it can make make quite the difference toward the end.
Looking down pit road there, you got, I noticed Cody Lamas is like the very last pit stall. So he's been taking advantage of these yellow flag pit stops because under green, you're breaking a lot earlier on that commitment line to get that thing woed up for that first stall. It's a 55 mile an hour pit commit, but when you're literally the first one in, you got to be doing like 20 when you hit that line so you don't drive past your spot.
And that actually last week proved to be a problem for Cody Lamas under green flag pit stops. I believe it was he and Tim Knopfsker made little contact on pit lane on the final green flag stop, and it pushed Cody past his pit stall, and he wasn't able to take service.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of run that risk. There's drivers, Cody is amongst them, that will leave the server before they kick the qualifying forward, and it will guarantee that you are going to start at the rear of the field. As you alluded to, though, Blaine, it also guarantees that you get one of those pit stalls right near the entrance of pit road. So it can be a good thing when you're making pit stops under yellow, but man, is it difficult when you've got drivers in front and behind you under green flag conditions.
Makes me wonder why leave the server. I mean, if you don't want to, run up front, if you just want to hang out toward the back, which is not a bad strategy at a super speedway, why not just drop to the rear immediately?
I guess it's a comfort thing. I don't know. Well, Donnie Garrett did not pit under this caution period, so he will be the race leader. Mark Paglia to his outside, Jeremy Jeffries, Grant Wesley, Bob Seminara, the top 5. Donnie, of course, coming into this season, the defending Bracket Series champion. And I believe it is next week the season 67 bracket will be put together. Top 32 drivers in points will be participating. Donnie will be looking for back-to-back championships.
So many neat little things that they do here at Rolling Thunder that keep everybody involved, like sure, I've been playing this game a long time, but you're never going to get out there and compete with some of these top level guys. But you could be in the running for those little bracket challenges and the Challenger Series and all these other things that they have going on the side.
I can speak to that personally. I took part in a full season of Bare Bones. I believe it was back in season 64. And, you know that you're going to be able to be a consistent top 15 driver. You're not going to be up there burning up the scoreboard, leading laps, picking up victories, but it was still a really good battle between myself, Glenn Harris, Bobby Farrell that season for the Challenger Championship. So as you said, it gives everybody a reason to show up, something to race for. It's a great incentive that they have here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights.
It's kind of funny you think about it when this game was released back in 2003 or maybe late 2002, whenever it was. I can't imagine that the creators of this game had any idea people would take this game and come up with just these advanced ideas like people have with these series. Probably thinking, we're just.
Do you think they know that this is still? They have to know. Like they have to stumble across a broadcast like this somewhere on the internet and been like, man, they're still playing that? Because now they've moved on to iRacing, and then from there, a lot of them have split. But they're still kicking around somewhere.
I think a lot of the developers are now with iRacing.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they know it's still going. They have to know. Every single night of the week, there's a half dozen leagues out here that doing knockout qualifying here. A lot of people show up to this one on a Thursday night, very popular. But even a league with 30 drivers every week, that's not too far off. It's a lot of people that still play this thing.
Well, you talked about it before we came on the air, Blaine. You and Rod with Tarnation TV, you're going to be calling a IROC race for Open Speedway.
Oh, Donnie Garrett.
Donnie Garrett. Oh. No caution.
Nope. That's the pit entrance.
Oh, 3 wide for the lead.
Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
Seminara and Jeffries. Boy, awfully close right there.
Oscar with the push.
Guys, we're going to be 4.
We're trying. We're doing
it. Goodness.
4 wide, boys.
Gonna narrow up here off
can't
of
work
2.
This. More contact.
They're holding it.
I don't know how they're holding it together.
Awesome.
There should have been a
goodness.
There should have been a multi-car wreck at least 2 or 3 times during that lap. That was a great job of keeping it together right there. And looks like Bob Seminara is going to come out with the lead after all that chaos.
And one guy that wanted them to wreck Donnie Garrett, because that would have saved him. Now with them being able to sort it out and keep it green, he's a long ways back. Actually, I believe he may have come down pit road after that spin, took on some service. Not a bad idea there, but more than likely the field's going to catch him if we continue to trend green and put him a lap down.
I'm telling you, you run a single-player race in this game and they go 4 wide, especially at Talladega, they go 4 wide 9 times out of 10. That's going to cause a crash right there. They survived, at least 3 times in that one lap right there.
Well, when you talk about all we do is talk about how talented these guys are, and then that happens, and you're like, yep, there it is. And the crazy thing about that is you're going to have John St. John in your ear going, you're in the middle, 3 wide, hold your line. So then when he starts saying hold your line, he doesn't know how many cars are there. You're relying on the TeamSpeak chatter. As drivers, we know the game spotter is only going to call 3 wide. He's not going to say 4 wide. But you're at 4 wide again with the lap car. But that everybody in TeamSpeak also realizes that, and they're going to start saying, you're 4 wide up front, boys, you're 4 wide up front.
That was Donnie Garrett. They put a lap down. I don't know if he lost a lap when he came down pit road after that spin or not, but it's a tough break for him. He was the leader on this restart.
I have to check the scoring update when he crossed the line next time by. It is showing him a lap down. That might have been a second lap he lost right there with them passing him. We'll update that as they come around here to the start line this time by. After all that, Bob Seminara still the race leader. Breedlove now side by side with Jeremy Jeffries for second. And that middle line getting some momentum as well. We might be getting ready for 4 wide again here, the way these guys are racing.
What made that even more nerve-wracking for everybody? They weren't just 4 wide; they were 4 wide and bouncing off each other at the very front of the field. I mean, jeez.
And off a turn 2, where
Yeah.
we know that inside line pushes up, it narrows quickly.
And they held it. Keep up the good work, gents.
That middle line prevailing right for Jeremy Jeffries. Got a good push from Tim Nofsker. Now he's got the lead. Now he goes to the bottom line in front of Seminara.
But it looks like we can confirm Donnie Garrett has only lost 1 lap.
Mm-hmm.
He would be in the free pass position. He's the only driver currently a lap down. We did have a couple of other drivers retire out of the race since we last gave you an update, including the 44 Brian Lovell, who was involved in the last wreck on the back straightaway, and Jason Scheck, also out of the race. I remember him being involved in any incident, and he was out in front for about 9 laps. But looks like he's done for the night. Going to get credited for 34th. Lovell will be 35th in the final finishing results.
Nofsker got credit for leading that last lap.
Ooh, near contact there. Chuck McClure and Ken Roberts, the leaders of the second and third lines off of 4. Seen a lot of movement out of these cars, and I don't know if it's them trying to pinch down the respective lanes. You saw right there, Ken Roberts did a pinch down on Doug Hewlick, middle line to inside line, or maybe we talk about this mod being one of the best for drafting. These drivers with that comfort level might be pushing in places that the driver they're pushing not all that comfortable with it happening, and they're getting squirrely as a result.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Didn't you say like that they know where the hit boxes are the best when it comes to this mod?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've talked about in the past there, Seth, of how you've got the hitbox, and this mod tends to fill it out the best.
Yeah, visually it is the easiest mod to draft with because, yeah, if you see your door next to somebody else's door, there's contact. If you see your bumper right up to their back bumper, there's contact. There's no little potential hitbox that juts out for your misjudgment. It's pretty much clear where the contact's going to be.
I feel like that's making everybody a little bit braver here tonight.
Well, we were 3 wide, about 7-8 rows deep, and now, just like that, in the span of about a lap and a half, we're single file front of the field, double wide around the 6th position on back. Believe we've now entered into that area where everybody's realizing, okay, we've raced it up, we've either gained or lost track position as a result. Now we got to turn our focus to pit road, that final money stop.
Either that or everyone's just trying to bring their heart rate down.
That too.
Yeah, we only have 2 distinctive lines right now. It's like Ken Roberts is leading that second line. He's got Josh Vitalik right behind him. 21 of Randy Waugh and the 33 as well.
I believe by the number lap that they last all pitted, everybody will be coming to pit road within the window of 10 laps to go to take on a can of fuel. Now, some might be able to make it a little further past completion of lap 56. But more than likely, I don't think anybody's going to be able to stretch it far enough to take a half can. So we probably will see most everybody on pit road when that window opens. And I've been watching some drivers that we haven't talked that much about tonight. They have slowly been making their way forward here as the race has progressed. Josh Metallic, who we saw get shot out of the 3rd lane in that last caution. He's 2nd car on the outside right now, inside of the top 10. Graham McDonald, who I thought was damaged and off the pace. He lost the draft at one point on a restart. He's the 4th car in the outside line, unofficially in the 10th position. And just a kitty corner to him is Ulysses Sandoval, who started deep in the field, 35th off the grid, and now up in the top 15.
That's typical of Ulysses right there. I've noticed that he's one of those guys that, first half of the race, he'll just looks like he's just kind of, just taking it easy, running toward the back. But when it comes time to end the race and everything, he's usually right up there in contention.
He's come a long way in the last couple of years. He just started playing this thing like 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe that might even be a high number.
That credits Jeffrey Elliott and Nick Gunther, who helped him a lot in getting better as a super speedway racer. And we've seen the fruits of the labor for sure. Had 3 wins in a single season a couple of seasons ago. One thing about this race too, Nofsker about to mess it up for me here, this point I was going to make, but been a lot of parity of drivers leading laps here tonight. Normally we end up having a race where there's that one driver that we kind of deem the dominant driver of the race, leading double-digit laps. We haven't had that yet. Nofsker is close to being the first driver to do so here tonight. Most laps led so far, 9 laps led by Jason Scheck. Tim Nofsker about to lead his 9th lap right here. And then the next highest would be Randy Watt with 7 laps led. Most everybody else, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laps here and there. There's not been a clear lap leader so far here tonight.
It's kind of funny how that happens. Like one race it'll be, extremely competitive like tonight. And then other times we've seen, one driver just flat out dominate the race. I remember Brian Schilling doing that late last season in a race. So it's just kind of interesting how that plays out sometimes.
We talk about how 2 races into the season, everybody knows where they're positioned and what they need to do to get themselves into playoff contention. Tim Nofsker coming in tonight 30th in points, finishes of 36th and 19th in the first 2 races. So really looking to make a leap in the point standings, and hey, a victory tonight would make his job even easier in the remaining regular season races. Radio's lighting up. We got some drivers coming to pit road. This is a little sooner than I expected, so we are not able to take on a can of fuel. We're going to have to take on a can and a half for those that are pitting this time by.
Nofsker's pitting, Seminara's pitting, and a few others behind them.
Mike Mangialardi, Robert Spring, Billy Elliser, David Little, and Milt Surratt. About 7 drivers here in this first pack.
It's a safe amount of cars to pit with right there. Talked about the risks of coming down pit road with a large group of other cars, and
so now begs the question, does everybody else come down pit road this time by, or will there be drivers that can go the 1 extra lap? Those that can go the 1 extra lap should be able to take only a can of fuel. These pitting here, they'll still have to take on a can and a half. Big group.
Oh, Bernie Mobbs goes around. Looked like he locked up the brakes and ended up losing it.
Didn't hit anybody else. Oh my goodness, what happened to Jeremy Jeffries? Jeffries' car is massively torn up on the side and the back. Oh, we had something happen the lap prior for the lead. Some bumper grab as they were coming to complete lap 54. Ken Roberts trying to tuck down in front of Jeremy Jeffries. Bumper grabs Jeremy down into the Armco barrier, back up the track in front of Donnie Garrett. Oh my goodness.
And things go from bad to worse for Donnie Garrett.
And how we're not under yellow is a shock. Like, for Jeremy spinning down to the inside, that I understand. But then coming back up the track in front of Donnie, I would have thought that would have warranted a yellow.
Yeah, that is wild. Huh.
That kind of
On
explains.
board with Donnie.
When I looked at those drivers that pit and then went back up to the front of the field, they were really split up. And I thought maybe that was because everybody was just trying to get in line in preparation for when they were going to have to hit pit road. But that incident right there shows why there was quite a gap from first and second back to third and fourth. Now Chuck McClure and a number of others, Cody Lamas, Greg Lovell, Brian Schilling, and Jeff Crivello, they've all come to pit road here. I believe Graham McDonald also part of that group. They were the group that were able to go far enough where they only took on a can of fuel. This should gain them a ton of track position once everything cycles around.
Chuck McClure, though, has nobody behind him. And that's not a good thing on a super speedway. He's coming back down pit road.
Oh.
Robert Spring serving a black flag penalty.
Schilling's coming down, too.
They both maybe also get black flag penalties here. Maybe the pit stop was too good for Chuck McClure, hence the gap we saw. And our winner from 2 weeks ago, Brian Schilling, following him down as well. It looks like it's pass-through penalties for both.
I'm only seeing Spring on the readout, but yeah, that makes sense. They drove right through.
Doug Hewlick inherits the race lead after all of this. Richard Martin now into second. Bob Seminara, Cody Lama side by side for third. See the 23, the 48, the 880, the 33. These are all drivers that gained the track position because they were able to save enough fuel on that last run.
A whole new front pack almost. Definitely shuffled it up a little bit.
Everybody trying to position themselves here. You got Seminara leading that middle line. Some drivers back there trying to fight their way from the third lane to the middle lane and from the middle lane down to the inside line.
We got about, 12 to 15 cars in this lead pack.
Look at some of the names we've got up here as well. They could be looking for their first win in this series. Cody Lamas in the 48, Jeff Crivello in the 36, Brady Waugh in the 21, Bobby Farrell's back there at the tail end of this pack in the 92. There's some underdog names here. We talk about there's always seems to be that one driver that wins their way into the postseason that kind of fits that underdog win status. We got about a half dozen of them up here.
Talladega has played to the underdog quite a bit. If you look at the history in NASCAR, so many drivers have gotten their first career wins here. So could be seeing the same thing here in the sim racing world.
When they
Aaron
keep
took
those
a look there on Hewlick.
When they keep those statistics on the real tracks, do they reset them when they reconfigure the facilities and stuff? It's
nope. It still counts as that track.
Okay.
Hewlick doing a good job here of figuring out which lanes got the momentum.
Yeah.
Oh, he might find himself in a compromise spot right there. He almost got himself put in the middle 3 wide as he tried to go up there in front of Nofsker and left the door open for Seminara to take a peek down low.
He's trying to block both lanes here. That's difficult to do, and now he's going to lose the lead as Tim Nofsker got a good push there from Josh Metallic and Randy Waugh on the outside.
Nofsker's led the most laps so far here tonight. 10 laps currently. Looks like he may lead his 11th this time by. This point of the race, we'd be talking about point of no return. Of course, they do have that EXC where they'd be able to expedite caution periods, so we can extend that a little bit further, maybe another lap or two. See what culminates here as we are now at less than 5 to go.
That outside line's got the momentum right now. That inside line's kind of, I don't want to say dissolving, but it's really falling back right now.
Brian Schilling having to serve the pass-through. No RJ Cabana in the field tonight. Rodney Sullivan's back in the second group, currently 17th. No Joe DeSpirito, no Denny Carroll out of the race. Grant Wesley, not the win he was looking for tonight, not back-to-back, but he is still up in this lead pack despite the early damage from the opening caution. Currently in 12th position. I would say that mathematically he's in position to be the points leader going into next week if he can hold serve or maybe even increase his finishing position in these final few laps. And now we're playing the waiting game. Everyone's single file, all waiting, all wondering who's going to step out, will they have help, and when is it going to be?
You know, if we're getting into that point of no return, I don't like the strategy of waiting till the last lap to make a move here.
Got 15 cars in this lead pack from Nofsker back to Jeff Crivello. Any one of those drivers have a shot at this victory, depending on what happens in these final 2.5 laps.
Is that the 43 that went a lap down? Did he have it drive through?
I believe that was the 111 of Ron Hagelin. They're about to catch the 33 of Graham McDonald, who was having such a good run. Not sure what exactly happened to him after that final pit stop, but looked like he was going to cycle up into the top 10. He was amongst those drivers that were able to take only a can of fuel, but now he's going to go a lap down in 27th. Keep seeing space being made between these race cars, laying back, trying to generate a run. There was a good deal of space from Doug Kulik up to Ken Roberts. He's got a teammate behind him in Ulysses Sandoval, so watch for that 23 maybe to be one of the first up here at the front to try and make a move.
Metallic has been all over the back of Nofsker right there. Looks like he's wanting to make a move here. Gonna get the white flag this time by right now.
2.66 miles to settle it. Odds look like we're going to have a third different winner this season unless Grant Wesley pulls off a last lap miracle from P10. Off turn 2. If Metallic makes the move, the question is somebody going to go with him?
Thought the 23 and the 96. Here comes the 55.
From the 5th position, Ken Roberts makes a charge.
Randy
Here comes
Waugh
Randy Waugh for the block. Roberts switches back up to the top. Can Metallic get enough of a run? Nofsker goes up to cover.
Oh, Waugh's there. Oh,
three wide.
Oh, boy.
Nofsker clear, and Nofsker is going to pick up the victory tonight.
Thought we were going to have a wreck coming to the line right there, but
30th in points when he took the green flag. Guarantee you he won't be there when the checkered flag waved. And Nofsker now can make preparations for the postseason as he gets the win out of the way and now just has to worry about staying in the top 20 in points. And he'll be fighting for a championship come the end of the regular season. "16 laps led here tonight for that Pabst Blue Ribbon Chevrolet. And Chevy's going to, so far, be undefeated. Yes, I know Grant was in a Dodge tonight, but he won last week in a Chevrolet, so we're still guys.
sounds like something I would do, run both Dodge and Chevrolet.
Oscar going to bring it down here to the start-finish line and begin his celebration. Randy Waugh's going to bring it home solidly in second. Josh Metallic will complete the podium in third. We'll be talking with those drivers here in just a few moments. Doug Kulik with a great run this evening, highest finishing of the Toyotas in fourth. Robert Breedlove was fifth, and it was Demar, Ken Roberts, Bob Seminara, Grant Wesley, and Mark Paglia, the top 10 here tonight. One thing we can say for certainty, there will be a lot of movement in the point standings from this week into next.
Nice looking burnout here from Nofsker.
It's been a while since he's been able to do one. Can't recall exactly when his last victory was. Sure he remembers. As Tim Nofsker continues to celebrate his first win of the season. Let's see if we can dial up the drivers that put a lot of pressure on him there in the closing stages of this race and complete the podium with the 088. Let's get a hold of the driver that brought it home. P3 here tonight, Josh Metallic. Hey, Josh, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Hey, well, from being involved in a wreck midway portion through this race to being in the conversation for the victory here tonight, a roller coaster evening for this Ryan Newman throwback, but saw you there running in second place. A lot of decision making there in the final 2-3 laps to go. You have a move already planned out, or was it basically trying to gauge behind you if you made a move, if somebody would go with you?
Yeah, I was watching, and it was all single file. I'm like, well, there's nothing to be done. You know, you pull out a line and you finish 15th or however many run that line. So I just kept waiting and saw them make a move. Tim's had some rough luck, so you know he saw and did what he needed to do. Went low, and then luckily, I think it was maybe Ken Roberts or someone came right back up, gave me a push, and he managed to get a podium out of it. I thought I was about to get freight train and all hell would break loose, but yeah.
We were watching the racing here. Normally, when we end up having the first race this season, maybe even the second race this season, we see the aggression level, everybody trying to figure out where they're at. But tonight, it kind of looked like we've continued the aggression from the first races into this evening. I almost wonder, and I want to get, because obviously you get the sense of what everybody else is feeling being in the TeamSpeak room, obviously being out there on the racetrack with them. We've had 3 straight weeks of go or go home qualifying. There's been so much emphasis on consistency these last couple of seasons. Is that why we're seeing everybody clamoring for even just that 1 or 2 positions every lap?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. This mod, I can just push at will. I don't feel as much of a worry about bumper hooking. And I was one that didn't really buy into it. I thought, you know, it'd all drive the same regardless of mod. But I probably shouldn't have said that. Guys will start driving over their heads next week and we'll have bumper hooks. But you can get aggressive with the pushing. Whatever the game lets you do, you have to take it because someone else will do the same. So there's that, and then like you said, every point matters. You know, me and Tim were talking on Whispered closing laps. We're like, man, a win would be great, but let's just not get wrecked or do something stupid. Top 10s would be great for both of us. So I mean, Tim was outside the top 30. If he didn't have a good race tonight, he'd be in Lotto next week, which is insane for a multi-time champion just to have that bad of luck. So yeah, everyone's worried about the top 30, and once you're there, you're worried about the top 12, and there's some stress going on. You know, the racing's one thing, but just trying to lock yourself into different things. Brackets next week, top 32. So with all the racing, points are always a concern.
You talk about driver communication. I want to just kind of be a proverbial fly on a wall and find out when we ended up having that moment where you guys were fanned out 4 wide, you guys kind of accordioning off of turn 2, how much communication was going on during that point, and how many breaths of relief were let out after everything settled out?
I got on the horn right away. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I know Mark got kind of put in a bad spot and they were 4 wide. And I'm like, hey, Mark, wait, one more car, go. Get back 3 wide. So yeah, there was some, people were, it was a little stressful that couple of seconds, but Mark did a great job. Everyone else around did a great job. But yeah, I was called it out because there was an opening a few cars back. And I'm like, man, if they can just hold it together for another half turn or something, we'll be okay. And sure enough, they did it. Yeah, that got everyone's attention.
Well, Josh, you talked about, the communication between you and Tim saying, hey, let's not wreck these things. A solid run is a solid run. Came in tonight 16th in points. This will certainly vault you up in the standings, certainly in the top 12 in one of those current points-paying playoff positions. So a great start to your season so far. We wish you luck in the remainder of this regular season. Hope the consistency can continue. Maybe end up getting those couple spots better and park this machine in victory lane. But we'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks to all the drivers. I mean, it's a good problem to have. I really, truly hate seeing guys show up to race and we can't fit them in the server. It's a beautiful problem to have, but you feel terrible about it. So appreciate the massive support for the series and for the league in general. Speaking of the league, Mr. Sean Prime, Jeremy, Jason Sheck, missing some guys, but all the admins that keep this thing running. We're still feeling the void from Bones, obviously, and everyone's been doing a great job stepping up. So, and you guys too. These broadcasts are a huge hit, especially putting you guys together. Blaine, Kyle, Michael, you, Seth, they're fun. And I heard we might be doing some more, giving some good love to the other guys on the other nights of the week. So looking forward to that too. But yeah, just appreciate the good hard racing and everyone that showed up.
Well, Josh, a great run for you here tonight. Solid finish on the podium. Congratulations on surviving the mayhem in the early going, executing on pit road, having a solid finish tonight. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Josh Metallic going to bring it home P3. Several drivers here tonight had to overcome some adversity. I don't believe this driver was involved in any of the wrecks, or if he was, it was very minimal. See if we can dial up the drive. Brought it home second place tonight, Randy Waugh. Hey, Randy, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, yeah. How y'all doing?
Man, a great run for you here tonight. Solidly in the conversation for that victory. Pretty much in the front of the field all evening long. Able to maintain the track position, whether it was on pit strategy or, of course, the execution on that final stop. Looked like you had everything timed really well. Blocked that inside line momentum going into 3. What little more did you need to get to the left recorder panel of Novsker?
I think I need Ken to stay behind me. He was behind me pushing, and then he jumped up to the outside lane, and I don't blame him. That's probably because I dumped him a little bit earlier too. So, if he'd stayed behind me, I think I would have had enough momentum to get by him.
2 races under your belt coming into tonight. A pretty much good idea of where you were positioned and what you need to do for the remainder of the regular season. You were 21st in the standings coming into tonight. Where were you in terms of looking for the win or looking for the consistent run? And how much did that change during the course of the race? Because certainly we know drivers tend to change the strategies depending on circumstance. And we had some interestingly timed cautions.
Yeah, I wanted to just get a good finish, top 5 if I could. But when it come down to it, I wanted to win because I still don't have a win over here. And I've come very close a few times. I got second a few times and then got wrecked one time when I was leading. I want to be consistent. And last week, I ran up front almost the whole race. I led laps, and I just I messed up getting into the pits and ruined my night.
You mentioned about how close you've been to being able to finally get that first win over here on Thursday nights at RTG. Is that more of a motivator for you to get that one position better, or does it at some point get a little frustrating?
Well, it does get a little frustrating because there's several times I've been up front and I get dumped or something at the end, or somebody gets a good run. But I think it's more of a hindrance because it's in the back of my mind that I haven't won, and sometimes I might try something when I shouldn't, and gets me in trouble, and I'll lose some spots.
Well, a great run for you here tonight, bringing it home solidly in the second position. Going to be a good points night for you as well. Looks like based off of the updated point stands, you jump up 11 spots in the standings, up into the top 10, ninth in points going into next week. So good consistency to kick off season 67. We look forward to seeing you try and continue that consistency. Maybe get that one spot better. Maybe we're talking to you next week in Victory Lane. But Randy, we'll give you the opportunity here now for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, I sure hope we're talking to me in Victory Lane next week. I'm ready to do a burnout. But yeah, shout out to RTG. They run a good league over here, and all the admins. Shout out to them. Shout out to you, Blaine and Kyle. Y'all do an amazing job up there, and I love watching these afterwards. Shout out to my sons, Christian and Corey, my grandsons, Adrian, Asher, and Asa, my friends, Debbie and Zach Fincher. Corey, we almost got one. Maybe we'll get one next week. See you soon, bud.
Certainly seems like that win is coming sooner rather than later. Randy, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Best of luck next week and the remainder of this regular season.
Thanks, bud. I sure appreciate it.
Randy Waugh bringing it home in the runner-up position here tonight. Our top three all going to jump massively in the point standings. Metallic, who we just talked with, he's now 7th in points, up +9 from where he came into tonight. And the driver we're about to dial up right now jumped 19 spots in the standings. Let's see if we can hold up tonight's race winner, Tim Nofsker. Hey, Tim, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Do I know you guys?
Yeah, long time no see, right?
Dang, you ain't kidding.
2 races into the season, 30th in points, but tonight, 16 laps out in front. You lead that most important one, and now you've locked yourself back into the playoffs. I can
You have no idea. Between last season and the start of this season, it hasn't been much to talk about, but hopefully we're, no pun intended, turning the corner here.
Well, one thing that you had to do here tonight was avoid a lot of the early carnage. We ended up seeing, obviously, some differing strategies in terms of fuel on that final pit stop, but you crossed all the T's, you dotted all the I's. Now that you finally got that monkey off of your back, what does that do for you in terms of freedom for the remainder of this regular season?
Well, I think I'm just focusing on consistent finishes. My finishes, including last season, have been all across the board, just no consistency. So I think get back to running with some of the guys I normally run with and see if we can push and have some momentum going into the playoffs.
It was interesting. We were just talking moments ago with and tonight. You'd be going into next week in a must-qualify position. You wouldn't be locked into the field. Was there any sense of predation here tonight based off of some circumstances that maybe you were in? I cannot afford a DNF, or was that maybe more of a motivator for you here tonight to get to the front, stay at the front?
I think that was motivational because I felt bad. I got together with the 92 and had to go to the back, and I just kind of worked my way back up through there. But yeah, I mean, you know, when you go into knockout qualifying, it's the real deal. You know, you just scuff the wall, or I've seen motors blow in qualifying efforts. I mean, you know, I could be on the outside looking in. So yeah, that's somewhere I don't want to venture.
Well, we talk about it all the time. when the points are as close as they are early on in the season, one good finish can be the difference maker. 19 positions you gained here tonight, 12th in the standings, but most importantly, that one in the win column means you're going to be going playoff racing at the end of this regular season. Tim, congratulations on a job well done here tonight. Good defensive blocks on that final lap to make sure you were the first back to that checkered flag, and we'll let you get back to your celebrating here in a moment, but first, we'll give you the opportunity for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, obviously, I'd like to thank you guys for everything you do for us. I'd like to dedicate this win to Bones and Wiley and all the racers that we've lost recently. It's been a long time since I've been back to Victory Lane, so I was kind of saving up for that. Just want to give a huge hello and thanks to Sean Prime for everything he does. He's got a lot on his plate, and hopefully everything goes well for him. And thanks to Josh and Rodney for working Thursdays with me, doing the admin duties. Give a shout out to Chuck and Brian, Mark. Mark had a pretty good race tonight, but Chuck and Brian had some misfortune. But yeah, I love drafting with those guys and look forward to it. I was glad that Josh was able to get second there. I hated to leave him, but I had to go down and cover just a little bit. I hate blocking, but I really needed to win.
Well, you got the win that you needed here tonight. Break a bit of a personal winless streak for you as well and lock yourself into this season's playoffs. Congratulations on the job well done, Tim. You can breathe a little bit easier here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you go back to work next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Tim Nofsker, your winner here this evening. Third different driver to go to Victory Lane in as many races. And normally we end up talking about the drivers that are up there at the top of the point standings. But when you look at the story of Nofsker here in these first three races, and he said in his own words, being down there 30th in points, right on that cut line, was motivation for him here tonight. I'm looking at the results of this evening, misfortunes of drivers free-falling them through the points. Donnie Garrett having his issue, drops to 22nd in points. Chuck McClure with the pass-through penalty late, 23rd in points. Greg Palmer right now sits down near the cut line, 29th in the stands after his DNF. These are drivers that we've seen go to Victory Lane in the past few seasons. Are they now going to, in a sense, tap into that motivation being as far down close to the cut line as they are?
I would imagine so. I mean, we just heard, how Tim Nofsker felt, being down there. I mean, that's got to make anybody nervous, despite despite the success that a lot of these guys have had. So, yeah, I would imagine so that they might be feeling that as motivation, definitely.
Well, Grant Wesley, as I expected, he is going to have the points lead going into next week, 13 points over Brian Schilling. Richard Martin sits in third with Seminara Sullins in fourth and fifth. I mentioned about Metallic, Randy Waugh, Tim Nofsker, they're all jumping up in points with their good finishes. Sandoval, Bernie Mobbs, Doug Hewlick, they're all up in the top 10. With how far we are into the season now, can these drivers maybe turn the wick up a little bit more? They've established consistency in the first three races. Can we now maybe try and be a little bit more aggressive to get that win, or do you think we have to remain on the consistent train?
Be more aggressive to get a win? I mean, after what we saw tonight, I don't know if they can be any more aggressive than that. I mean, but yeah, I think they'll be feeling a little bit more comfortable and, more willing to, take chances if they see an opportunity to get a win. So, yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see that at all.
A little extra motivation as well could be who the respective drivers are they'll be going up against once that bracket is put together. I do believe that the bracket challenge starts next week, so you always want to make sure you finish at least one position ahead of the driver you're facing off each respective week. So that might be a little extra added incentive for the drivers as well as we approach the halfway point of the regular season. But congratulations to Tim Nofsker. He is your winner here tonight. Third different winner on the season. Will we get a fourth Tune in next Thursday night to find out. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Tarnation TV and the Flatout Racing Network. We thank you all for tuning into our coverage here this evening. For Blaine Donlin, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week for the continuation of Season 67 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series.